A movie that made $12.2 million at the box office on a $10 million budget. Fox buried it, moved on, and forgot it existed. Then without a sequel, without a reboot, without a single marketing campaign, Office Space became the most quoted comedy in American workplace history. The Red Stapler, TPS Reports, A Case of the Mondays. How does a movie nobody watched in theaters become the one film every office worker has seen? The answer involves a spray paint can, a 19-year-old nobody, a cast that deliberately sabotaged a studio's rating decision, and one line in a magazine article that made Mike Judge throw a packet across a room and hang up the phone. Here are 10 facts that will make you look at that movie completely differently. Number 10. Matt Damon almost played the guy who stopped caring about everything. In 1997, Good Will Hunting made Matt Damon the hottest young actor on the planet. He played a genius who solved impossible math problems on a chalkboard. Fox executives watched that and immediately thought, perfect for our burned out programmer who does nothing at work. The logic only makes sense if you have never seen either movie. Fox pushed hard for Damon or Ben Affleck. Mike Judge wasn't interested. He needed someone who looked like he had genuinely stopped trying, not someone performing the act. Ron Livingston walked into the audition and delivered his lines with the specific kind of boredom that doesn't come from acting school. It comes from actually sitting in a cubicle for years, wondering if this is it. Judge knew within minutes. The chaos didn't stop there. Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn both auditioned for Lawrence. Kate Hudson reportedly read for Joanna. Artie Lang tested for Milton. The film nearly had a completely different face on every character you remember. Instead, it got a cast Fox didn't know what to do with, which turned out to be exactly right. Number 9. The Red Stapler was fake. Then it became real. Then it outsold everything. Swingline didn't make their 747 model in red. The prop department grabbed a black one, hit it with Rio Red spray paint, and stuck it on Milton's desk so it would pop against the cubicle gray. Nobody gave it a second thought. Then the film hit cable. Comedy Central ran it 35 times in 2 years. Swingline started receiving letters, then calls, then emails. People wanted the Red Stapler. eBay sellers started spray painting their own in garages and selling them as collectibles. In April 2002, 3 years after the movie bombed, Swingline launched an official Red 747. It became a bestseller and outsold their standard black models. A prop that existed for 3 seconds of screen time in a movie nobody watched in theaters created a product line the company didn't know they needed. The film made almost nothing. The stapler made a fortune. Number 8. There is a deleted scene where Lumbergh completely loses his mind. It was cut because it made him seem human. Somewhere in Fox's archives there is footage of Gary Cole screaming. Peter steals Lumbergh's parking spot. The Porsche gets towed and Lumbergh, the man who has delivered every word of his existence in a passive-aggressive monotone, completely breaks down on the curb. Mike Judge watched the playback and cut it immediately. The reasoning was precise. Lumbergh's power came from not being fully human. The moment he screams about a car, he becomes a person. And the moment he becomes a person, he stops being terrifying. What's left in the final film is the Porsche being towed in the background, while Peter and the guys cheer from across the lot. Completely unaware they've dismantled their boss's entire identity. Cole later said he was relieved. The outburst made Lumbergh relatable, and that was the last thing anyone needed. Number 7. PC Load Letter was a real error message, and the most famous reaction to it was not scripted. Hewlett-Packard actually programmed their printers to display PC Load Letter. It meant the paper cassette needed letter-size paper, something engineers apparently thought could be communicated through abstract capitalized gibberish. During filming, the printer jammed mid-take. David Herman looked at the screen. The message said PC Load Letter. He responded exactly the way you would. PC Load Letter. What the hell does that mean? Judge didn't stop the camera. He knew he was watching something that wasn't a performance. That take is in the movie. The line became one of the most quoted in the film's history. Tech forums still use it today every time something breaks. Which, if you've ever worked near a shared office printer, is basically always. Number 6. A man who played a waiter with too much flair sued Fox for his likeness. His own contract destroyed him. Todd Duffy played Brian, the aggressively enthusiastic tchotchke's waiter who guilt-tripped Joanna about her buttons. He was on screen for maybe 3 minutes. Then in 2007, his face ended up on the cover of a merchandise product called the Office Space Box of Flair. Duffy sued Fox under the Lanham Act. The court looked at his contract, a standard day player agreement, and found that he had granted Fox all rights to his performance throughout the universe. Not in this country, not on this planet, the entire universe, every parallel reality, every possible future, The judge called the language unambiguous and dismissed the case in 2014. The man who played the corporate enthusiasm mascot got legally demolished by the most aggressively corporate clause ever written into a contract. Brian would have asked for more flair. Number 5, no talent ass clown wasn't in the script. It came from David Herman's girlfriend. It's now in the dictionary. The original line from Michael Bolton's character involved language about the real Michael Bolton that the studio's legal team flagged as a potential lawsuit. Herman needed a replacement insult. He called his girlfriend. She said, "No talent ass clown." Herman brought it to Judge. Judge used it immediately. The real Michael Bolton spent years hating it. Fans quoted it at him in airports and grocery stores. By the mid-2000s, he was signing DVDs as the real Michael Bolton and spoofing the scene in a Funny or Die sketch. In 2019, Merriam-Webster added "no talent" to the dictionary as an adjective. Not bad for a line invented in a 45-second phone call by someone who was never on set. Number 4, a 19-year-old in a focus group saved the Ghetto Boys soundtrack from being cut entirely. Fox executives did not understand why a movie about white-collar software programmers had a Houston gangster rap soundtrack. The notes were direct. It doesn't fit. Judge disagreed. He built the film on the idea that corporate frustration and gangster rap were describing the exact same emotional state from different angles. He negotiated one final test screening, told the studio if audiences responded negatively to the music, he'd cut it. A 19-year-old in the focus group said something close to, "That's what's cool. These nerdy white guys and this angry music." The rap stayed. Willie D of the Ghetto Boys later said he loved the printer scene because it was about bucking the system. Exactly what the song was about. One teenager's opinion is the reason that scene exists the way you remember it. Number 3. Jennifer Aniston's entire subplot was invented after she was cast. Fox needed her name on the poster. Ron Livingston was cast as the lead. Fox looked at him and understood immediately that he wasn't going to sell tickets on name recognition. They called Jennifer Aniston. In 1998, Friends was the biggest show on television. Her original role was minimal. A love interest with a few scenes and no real arc. To justify her salary, the studio insisted Judge expand Joanna's storyline. This marketing decision accidentally produced one of the most iconic scenes in the film, the Flair subplot, the manager obsessed with decorative buttons, the guilt trip about self-expression, Joanna throwing her uniform and walking out. None of it existed until Fox decided they needed her face on a poster. Aniston shot for about 2 weeks between Friends tapings. The scene became the defining image for every service worker who has ever been told to perform enthusiasm they don't feel. It happened entirely by accident. Number 2, the cast deliberately stuffed the film with profanity to stop Fox from making it PG-13. Midway through production, Fox sent word that they wanted Office Space rated PG-13. Broader rating, broader audience, more tickets. The cast's response was essentially, "Over our dead printer." David Herman has since described what followed as a deliberate campaign to make the film impossible to sanitize. He began inserting additional profanity into every scene he could find, specifically to create so much material that cutting it in post-production would have required reshooting significant portions of the film. He called it stuffing as many blue things as possible into every available space. Judge knew what was happening and did not stop it. He understood that an office space with its edges sanded off was not office space. It was a workplace safety video. The strategy worked. The R rating held. Without those improvised lines, the printer scene plays differently. The whole film plays differently. Number 1, NBC sent Mike Judge a packet asking him to adapt The Office for American audiences. He turned it down because of one sentence. After Office Space found its audience on cable and DVD, Fox wanted a sequel. Judge declined. He later said just thinking about going through that production process again, the fights over the Guido boys, the notes demanding more energy, the PG-13 attempt, gave him a physical reaction. He was done. Then NBC came to him with a different offer. The British version of The Office had received extraordinary reviews, and they wanted someone to adapt it for American television. They sent Judge a physical packet of materials, reviews, coverage, critical write-ups. He started reading. He got to one article that opened with a line that stopped him cold. Something to the effect of, "The Office succeeds where films like Office Space failed." He put the packet down. No follow-up meeting. No time to think about it. Just no. The job went to Greg Daniels, Judge's own King of the Hill collaborator, who turned it into one of the most successful sitcoms in NBC history. The Office ran 9 seasons. It made Steve Carell a movie star. It still generates massive streaming numbers in 2025. And Office Space, the film that allegedly failed, is the one people still quote out loud at work every single day. The thing that flopped became the thing that lasts. The printer always jams. The stapler is always red. That's 10 facts about a movie that died in February and lived forever afterward. Which one hit different? Drop it below, and if nobody's asked you for those TPS reports yet today, don't worry, Monday's coming.